convene and talk about this topic. We will have student speakers from STEM and West talk about topics of their choice related to this matter. Please give everybody respect when they're talking and respect their views. Now, in memorial to the students, in memorial to the school shooting that happened a month ago in Stillman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and the 17 students that were tragically killed, I ask you for a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you. Now on to our student speakers who want to share their views in the wake of this matter. Starting us off will be Hannah Bromson.
I was only 10 years old on December 15th, 2012. I was 10 years old when my dad sat down next to me at the kitchen table and told me what had happened the day before at Sandy Hook Elementary School. I was 10 years old when I learned that the world was not as beautiful of a place as I had once imagined it to be. I was 10 years old when I learned that 17 students younger than me at that time had been shot and killed in the place they must have felt they were safest. I was 10 years old when I realized what those lockdown drills actually meant. I was 10 years old when I realized that all humans are not good enough to be trusted with weapons capable of tearing lives apart so violently. I was 10 when I realized I would live the rest of my childhood in fear. I was 15 when I realized that after 5 years those children had not yet seen justice. I was 15 on Valentine's Day when I realized that I was still unsafe. I was 15 when I realized that there was a chance a gun would rob me of my future. I was 15 when I realized that those children the same age as me never graduated. They never got to follow their dreams. They never got to experience happiness in the way that all humans should be guaranteed. No, those opportunities were stolen from them by the bullets of an AR-15. And at 15, I realized I couldn't sit back and watch for another minute. For these kids, for my friends, for the futures we all deserve to have. Enough. Thank you.
Good morning, students and fellow members of our community. We are here today, united, to show the world that we will no longer allow ourselves to be reduced to statistics. We will not be silenced by those who are trying to quiet our voices. The change we hope for has not come, so we must create it. We have hoped, but hope is no longer sufficient. We will raise our voices louder and louder on behalf of the numerous American lives lost. Too many tragedies related to gun violence have occurred to be met with the same inadequate responses from our country's leaders and elected officials. No more. We have decided to take action. We will write to our officials demanding change. We will yell from the rooftops demanding change. We will continue to march forward until we reach Washington so that our demands are met. We can make a difference. We have a voice. It is we that will change the world, and it is we who will make history. The revolution has been ignited. Look around today. Every last person must remember that there is strength in unity, and in strength there is the power to enact great change. Make your voices heard. Thank you.
The first school shooting I ever heard of was Sandy Hook. I was 10, on the school bus, thinking that this couldn't be real. Something like this was impossible. I didn't think humans had the capacity to do such evil to innocent kids. I didn't understand why anyone would need a gun, a machine designed to kill just because they could, and take lives with it. Because of this lack of understanding, I pushed Sandy Hook out of my mind. I decided that something like that would never happen to me. So in the days after Sandy Hook, I prayed for the victims, and I stopped thinking about it. As I grew older, gun violence in America also grew. We are the country with the most mass shootings, and we are also the country with the highest amount of gun ownership. Since Sandy Hook, 186 school shootings have occurred, and despite this, I, along with many others, turned a blind eye. I became so desensitized to this violence that every time I heard of another shooting, I reassured myself that it would never happen to me and I would forget about it. As a nation, we became so used to this violence that we convinced ourselves it is normal and it can't be changed. We feel powerless, so we lure ourselves into a false sense of safety, an idea that nothing can hurt us. Because of this, no change has been made to stop shootings, and we have no one to blame but ourselves. We have been complicit by ignoring each shooting and by never demanding action to stop them. Since Sandy Hook, no major gun law reform has taken place. It is still easy for a potential shooter to purchase a gun. 98.4% of Americans live within 10 miles of a gun dealer. The only thing between a shooter and a gun is a form that acts as a background check. A month ago, in Parkland, Florida, a deadly shooting claimed the lives of 17 individuals. They too believed that nothing as horrifying as a school shooting would affect them, and yet it did. 17 people, all with hopes, dreams, family, and friends, lost everything due to another semi-automatic gun. We watched 17 people with beautiful souls and bright futures leave this earth. After this, our nation has woken up. We realize nothing is stopping anyone who desires to kill from entering our school and taking lives with their own legal firearm. After seeing students from Parkland speak out, we realized we also had the power to make change. We realized we had options other than complicity. We could fight for gun control and school safety. We realized we could do things like we are today, participating in walkouts to honor the lives lost. We recognize the epidemic of gun violence that exists in our country, and we realize our nation is wounded. But this time, as we mourn the deaths of those 17 people, we demand action. We want our nation to be healed. We want a cure before gun violence takes our lives too. Never again.
All right. In December of 2012, 26 people were gunned down at Sandy Hook Elementary, and the nation stood in horror. 20 children and 6 adults weren't enough. After 1,600 more mass shootings, including Parkland, the adults of our time still haven't done enough. How many more people have to die for our government to stop this bloodshed? Are the lives of its own citizens more important than the interests of the few? What is the cost of our lives? Again and again, adults have proven themselves weak with their inability to fix our gun problem. That changes with us. They value weapons of war and money over people. That ends with us. Now we've grown up since Sandy Hook, and we've had enough. We're fighting for our lives. We're showing them what the future looks like because we are the future. The fight for our lives doesn't stop with school shootings. It doesn't stop with public mass shootings. And the fight for our lives doesn't stop with urban gun violence. And the fight for our lives shouldn't stop with our country's firearm suicide epidemic. Between all of these deadly externalities, we've had enough. America's gun culture ends with us. America's corrupt, unrepresentative system ends with us. We are bringing hope to the future. And by walking out here, you have all shown that we're one step closer. Never forget the victims who have had their lives taken by gun violence. They are our motivation to fight. Thank you.
On February 14, 2018, hundreds of thousands of students and faculty members got out of bed to get ready to go to school for just another average Wednesday. On February 14, 2018, 17 less of those people came home. We've all heard about these types of things happening. We've seen it in movies and on TV shows. We've read it in books, and as we've grown older, we've seen it in the news. We all say the same thing, that it will never happen to us. It will never happen to somebody we love, and then it does. We were all born to change the world. And now there are 17 less people to help us accomplish that goal. So today we walk out. Today we speak up, but not for ourselves. Today we walk and we talk for those whose legs can no longer carry them, for those whose voices can no longer say the words that we remember, and for as long as we live, we will never forget.
We'd like to thank all of you for joining us and walking out today. We've learned a lot from our greatest predecessors that the best way to achieve change is through direct action. We want no need to end gun violence in our schools. After high school students all over the country walk out of school today demanding change, we won't be ignored. And as long as we're walking into school every day fearing for our lives because someone with an AR-15 could murder 17 of our classmates at any minute, we won't stop. This walkout isn't the end. We need to keep the conversation going. If we stop talking about this, it'll get swept under the rug, and people will keep dying. So please, if you take anything from these past speeches, let it be this. If you want change, you need to write to your legislators. You need to engage in constructive discussions with your peers. You need to vote in the upcoming elections if you're eligible. We've finally got the nation's attention, so keep up the good work.
Whether this to you is an issue of gun control, mental health, or a mix of the two, it is very important that you remember the true reason of this walkout, and that's to remember the victims that were lost on February 14th. Scott Beagle, 35 years old. Martin Duke, 14 years old. Nicholas Storwed, 17 years old. Aaron Feist, 37 years old. James Guttenberg, 14 years old. Chris Hickson, 49 years old. Luke Hoyer, 15 years old. Carol Loughran, 14 years old. Gina Montalto, 14 years old. Joaquin Oliver, 17 years old. Elena Petty, 14 years old. Meadow Pollock, 18 years old. Alina Ramsey, 17 years old. Alex Shepard, 14 years old. Carmen Chentrop, 16 years old. And Peter White, 15 years old. 17 minutes will never be enough to honor their lives. To make a true change and rightfully honor their deaths, you can't stop your action today. It needs to last longer than 17 minutes, longer than just a day, longer than just a march. You need to vote in elections, insist on changes in your schools, and most importantly, never forget. This marks the conclusion of the walkout, and please make your way back to your classes at this time. If you try to stay out longer or leave campus, you will be disciplined. And remember that this is an event in honor of the victims that were killed, so please be respectful, quiet, and civil